Hello, and welcome to the Consistent OK podcast. My name's Luke, and I'm joined by the very tired Nick. This episode, we're going to talk about the Star Wars celebration, which Nick attended last week. We're going to talk about Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, which has had a recent delay. We're going to talk about Lone Tales, which is a comic Nick and I are part of. That's going to be a Kickstarter in May. We're also going to talk about other things, films such as Super Mario Brothers, Dungeons and Dragons, and John Wick 4. We're also going to talk about the fact that I'm not very good at maths, apparently. So sit back, enjoy, relax. Here is our podcast. Hi Nick, how are you doing?
I am all right. I'm knackered. We're going to talk about something in this podcast, which is why I'm tired. And actually, it's two things why I'm tired. But yeah, we'll get to one of them later. So yeah, how are you?
I'm actually not tired for a change. I am a little bit sad because my Mac is in the hospital. My MacBook Air. So I'm for those who watch the video, I'm on my phone, which looks actually pretty good. We're all right, aren't we, Nick?
It does, yeah. It ran out of air.
So
is that what happened to you?
Generally, otherwise though, things are good. Yeah, I had a bit of a break. Went back to England, and that was quite nice. And then had a nice Easter, and now we're recording a podcast, which is one of my favorite things to do. So life is sweet.
Yes.
But you're tired. Why, Nick? Why are you tired? Tell us all.
So to start with, as people on our social media might have seen, I went to one day of Star Wars Celebration, which was in London this year. And yeah, we booked the ticket ages ago. I went with my partner. He's also a Star Wars fan. I didn't just drag him to something. Although I found out he's never been to a con. He's never been to a convention. So this was.
Did you like a convention?
I think so. I think he liked the buzz, but the amount of people, probably not.
Yeah.
Because
imagine it's even more people than most conventions when it's Star Wars related.
It was pretty busy, and the XL. I've never been there before, but the way that the main concourse is laid out isn't sensible. It creates a lot of congestion. So there is a point near one of the stages where people just stop, and it's I can't. How do I move? How do I navigate? It was awful. So that side of it, I don't think he enjoyed, but I didn't either. So, just more space would be nice. But yeah, otherwise it was great. We entered a ballot because the way that it works is they always had panels going on all day, and the first panel of each 4 days they do a ballot for to try and get tickets for it. So it happens across 3 stages. There's a celebration stage, which is the main one where you see cast and crew actually in the room. There's the Galaxy stage, which is the second biggest, and it's streaming from the celebration stage. So you still see all the same content. It's just you're not in the room with people. And then the third stage is the Twin Sun stage. That's the same again. I think it's just a smaller room from what I understand. But we were in the Galaxy stage, so we got ballot tickets for the showcase, which means I've seen a lot of content, which is unusual. Usually I feel like I read
content
about...
Is it content that we the peasants that didn't get to go?
Yes.
That we would not have seen yet.
Yeah. So I've seen a trailer for Skeleton Crew.
The Jude Law one, that isn't it?
Jude Law, John Watts.
Wow.
Which looks awesome.
Because John Watts is doing the first episode, isn't he? He's not doing the whole series.
Yeah, I think they've got. Yeah, I think they said they have multiple directors, but John Watts, I think, has developed it, from what I understand. Again, research on point. But yeah, and John Favreau was there, and he sort of talked about how the idea for Skeleton Crew came while they were working on Far From Home.
All right.
that he sort of had this conversation and then got into a room with Kathleen Kennedy, like the three of them, and they sort of started developing what would be Skeleton Crew. But it does look really awesome. They sort of said how it's meant to be like an Amblin 80s kids style thing, a bit like Goonies, E.T., but in Star Wars. And it does. It has that feel. It's got that like weird kind of magical 80s vibe mixed with the big kind of galaxy spanning Star Wars.
Is Jude Law the lead in it? Yeah.
No, the leads are four kids.
Oh, okay.
And then Jude Law is like the adult that's around the kids.
So he's not a villain.
I'm not going to spoil it because, although,
rude.
Should I? I'm pretty sure it'll be online anyway. Somebody will talk about it. He's playing a Jedi.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, there is a really cool bit in the trailer, which hopefully they release at some point. I don't know if it'll be the exact same trailer, but when he came on, it's a very, very cool bit. And
when's that due out? Skeleton Crew. Is it late this year?
No, I think it's next year.
Next year, because they've got a thingy coming out in the summer, haven't they?
Ahsoka. Yeah.
Ahsoka, yeah. That's the summer one, isn't it? That looked fucking great.
Yeah, that does look really cool. So yeah, so we saw Skeleton Crew. Well, I'll go in the order of what they were, because this would be so much easier for me to remember. First up was the one that we love, Andor. So I saw a sizzle reel for Andor season 2.
And that's the fourth time I said wow, I think.
Wow. It does look very cool. Like it looks the same tone, the same feels. Cast and crew came out and were talking a bit about season 2, and it was just like, yeah, that's very cool. They're literally like shooting it now, so they basically said they came from set and were going back to the set because they're shooting in London.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just looked awesome. Like everyone was there, and it looks intense again. Yeah,
because that's out next year, isn't it? And I read that is like this season goes straight into the beginning of Rogue One, so it's like
I think
Cassian like really going for it.
Yeah, I think from what they said on stage is that they're on the exact same timeline they were for the first. So, I imagine it will come out next August because the first one came out last August. And they said they're on the exact same schedule. So August next year, I reckon.
I love Andor, so I'm really excited. That's
so good. And they
coming soon
to intro the stage, which I think this might be online because I think they did stream the panel part. They just didn't stream the content. But the opening trailer that they had to like introduce Celebration, like the first day, was like clips from all the Star Wars films and series and stuff. But it was voiced over by the piece of dialogue from Andor about like a rebellion, from that guy, that like the young guy, I've forgotten the actor's name, but it's like a really good speech. And when you're watching all these clips from Star Wars with that over the top, there's something really emotional about it where I was like, oh my God, it's Star Wars. Like, this is so good. It got you like really hyped. And then they brought out Andor and I was like, oh my God, amazing.
Was it most of the cast? Was all the main guys there?
Yeah, Andy Serkis, Diego Luna, Tony Gilroy, Denise Goff, who plays the villain Imperial lady. She's cool.
Yeah,
she had really good like stage presence. She just had good chat. The guy that plays the like weird wants to be Imperial guy as well was there, and he was cool.
Nice.
So yeah, they had a lot of like pretty much the whole people there. The only people that weren't was Stellan Skarsgård. And
because he's undercover.
Yeah, he was in the back.
Yeah.
And yeah, a couple of other people. But yeah, so that was Andor. That was the first thing, was his sizzle reel, working on it. And yeah, it just looks very, very cool. And then I think they went into Skeleton Crew after that. And the trailer was really cool. Jude Law came out, talked a bit about it, said he's always wanted to be in Star Wars.
He kind of feels like a guy that should have been in Star Wars already. I mean, he's like him and Ewan McGregor. I always picture him as like quite humble guys, good actors, suit Star Wars.
Yeah, and
makes sense.
you could see that he was quite excited about it. Like, it didn't feel phony. It felt like he was genuinely excited about this story, and he had like so much praise for the 4 kids who were like leading the series, because he was like, they're really impressive and sort of teaching me things in terms of acting and stuff. So he was pretty humble about it all, which was nice. So that was really cool. They had like a really short clip of John Watts from California, because they're like doing post-production on it. And it was like filming practical ships and stuff. It was like he was stood in front of a blue screen and a massive practical ship. I was like, that's awesome. So Skeleton Crew, that was really cool. The next one, which is the one that I was most excited about, besides Andor, was the Acolyte, which is I've forgotten her name. Lena. I've forgotten her surname. She did Russian Doll on Netflix. She showed around that, and she came out and she basically said her pitch for the Acolyte was Frozen meets Kill Bill. Which I was like, I don't know what that means, because they're
what does that mean?
They're so like different. But and then she said it's basically the story that's like set towards the end of the High Republic era, which is the one that Charles Soule is sort of spearheading, I think. And she sort of said, we've done it kind of from like the point of view of Sith and like right and wrong and all this kind of stuff. But they said that they're really influenced by martial arts, and they went back to like a lot of the original George Lucas stuff, which was looking at like samurai and like all that kind of like that side of the Jedi, where it's a bit more kind of like routine procedure and a bit more structure kind of thing, rather than like desperate fighting for hope kind of thing. It's more about they're actually in power. And they brought out some of the cast and crew for that, who were all very cool and all very excited. And there's a Wookiee Jedi, which is awesome.
Makes sense. Why hasn't there already been one?
This is my thing. But the guy that plays him is Eunice, I've forgotten his name, who plays Chewbacca in the sequel trilogy. So he's like really tall guy, can do an amazing Wookiee impression, like super impressive. But he was talking later on in the day on the celebration stage about on the live stage about like learning samurai stances and stuff, and he said how he's playing this video game and he was looking specifically at the stances in this video game, and I was like, if he's going to say Ghost of Tsushima, that is an incredible reference. And he went, oh, the game was Ghost of Tsushima. I was like, oh my god.
What?
And so he said, any Ghost of Tsushima fans out there, you might recognize a couple of the stances that my character does from that game. I was like, oh my god. And then they showed a trailer for it, and that just looks awesome. It's very action, very like John Wick martial arts, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kind of stuff. It was impressive.
Is that the one that's out this Christmas then? Because they normally do. Don't they normally do one in December as well?
Yeah, I think this is out next year as well.
Okay.
From memory, they announced it for next year. I will just Google it while I'm talking. But it was a really impressive trailer, and everybody seemed really excited about it. And it was just, I always thought it was going to be really cool, because it is very much like the earliest period of Star Wars that you've seen on film. And there was something really intriguing about that, but seeing it, you're kind of like, oh, it looks different to other Star Wars. It's got a different feel, it's got a different tone, and it just looked awesome. But that is next year. It's 2024. Okay. So whenever they drop a trailer for that, hopefully that really hits, because it does look very cool, and everybody was pretty excited about it. So yes, we saw the Acolyte. Then they brought on Mando. And they showed us 7 minutes from what is this week's episode, but we saw it last week. So we saw the first 7 minutes, which is the one where, spoilers in case anybody hasn't watched this episode of Mando, you see Moff Gideon walk into that room and he's talking to all the people, and there's like
Yeah.
a
They talk
Thrawn
about
mention, and there's
yeah,
like
Tron, yeah.
Hux and all that stuff. So that got a lot of cheers, and that was very cool, and a lot of hype. And then they were like, "Oh, and everybody who's entered this room has got a wristband. If you come back at like 5 o'clock, you'll get to watch next week's episode a week early." I was like, "Oh my god!" So everybody in the room was just super excited about that, I think. Which obviously the
Nice.
episode is out now, but we won't talk about it because you haven't finished it yet, and I don't want to spoil.
Yes, I am 10 minutes left, which I've heard from the person that's talked to me on this podcast is a very important 10 minutes.
Yeah,
But
and it was
it's
yeah,
picked up, so it's good. Looking
yeah.
forward to watching the end.
It was a really good episode to watch with people as well. There's a lot of like fun atmosphere and just a lot of excitement, which was really cool. It was unusual as well because I've never been to a convention where it's solely just one
focus.
And it was kind of cool to be around that many people who are just into Star Wars, and like focused on Star Wars.
I guess you can really gauge it there, but I know we've talked a lot about like the MCU and some of the DC films, but was there any like vibes that there's like they're like going a bit too crazy with all the Star Wars stuff now? Like it's too much? Because I get the feeling with Star Wars that people are up for it just being like when there was the original trilogy, right? And there was Rogue One and stuff as well. But with the new trilogy, it was kind of like, oh, we just want it to be the way it was. But it feels like there's a lot more openness to let's really expand this. Like let's go in deep because we want it's such a big timeline, isn't it? Like there's so many stories to tell in that universe. So I can't see why there would be any fatigue with it already. But like I guess you wouldn't get a sense of that at that sort of a place because they're all there for one thing, like you said.
Yeah, there wasn't that feeling. Like I didn't get that feeling until I went online at the end of the day, and people were like, "They've announced more Star Wars movies. How dare they?"
Because they're more annoyed about like Ray coming back, aren't they, and that
Yeah,
sort of
so
stuff like that. They're
yeah,
not annoyed about the TV stuff. They're annoyed about a
yeah,
new
nobody.
trilogy. It's not really a new trilogy, is it? But it's a new trilogy
No,
of films.
yeah. So that was like the next thing that was on their list. So yeah, it was. Oh, and they did a Ahsoka as well, which is the same trailer that you saw. So we saw that. So they talked about Ahsoka. Somebody, one of the presenter, I've forgotten his name, asked Rosario Dawson how it was to be in the same room as Mark Hamill. And I thought you'd appreciate this because I think I was the only person in our screen that sort of gave a chuckle because it was pretty dead quiet when she said this. But she was like, "Oh, it's amazing." But does anybody else just get the feeling when they talk to Mark Hamill that they're talking to the Joker?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yes."
Yes.
Nobody
He is
else
the Joker,
around
isn't
me.
he? So
Yeah, nobody else around me was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh."
wow. She's cool. She's pretty cool, isn't she, Rosetta? She's like,
Yeah, she
and
was.
she looks great. That she looks spot on for
Again, like
the
that
character.
has that kind of same like samurai sort of Ronin vibe to it again as well, like the sort of wandering Jedi kind of thing. Um, so yeah, so that was really cool, and they sort of introduced the cast, announced who was playing who, and that all got pretty big cheers. So yeah, so that looked really cool. But yeah, then they went into the films, and obviously Mangold came out and talked about his film,
Yeah.
which is intriguing. Um, and I don't know how I feel about it. I'm mixed on it. I love Mangold. Like Logan is incredible, and I really enjoyed Le Mans '66.
Well, he announced he was doing Swamp Thing as well, didn't he? Or he confirmed.
Yeah, that he was going to write and direct it. But I wonder if that's after Star Wars.
He said, I just saw his interview and he's like, I think it's Star Wars first, then Swamp Thing.
Yeah, because he's doing a Bob Dylan biopic this summer,
Yeah.
which he's filming. So he's going to do that, and then yeah, it sounded like Star Wars was his next thing. But I really like Mangold. Like he's awesome, and him being attached to something makes me excited because he is a good writer and director. The plot of it being like we're exploring the period in which the Force was first found, and it's like a biblical epic. I'm intrigued by, but I also don't know if I need the answer. Like I don't know if I need that. But then again, when somebody said we're going to make a Cassian Andor series, I was like, Do I need that?
Yeah, do you need it? Yeah. I think
Apparently I did.
I quite like the idea. I quite like the idea of it. Yeah. I'm I think I was sold on all the films really. I think I'm just very on the hype bandwagon for Star Wars. I've enjoyed.
Yeah. So
I don't think there's not been something they've not released recently that I've not enjoyed.
yeah, it is
So
that kind of yeah, it was that kind of thing. Like I was very excited
I didn't
about
really
all the
mind. And I know we talked about it. I didn't really mind the new trilogy that much.
yeah,
So
yeah. But yeah, so they did that. Filoni came on and announced that he's going to do this film that's sort of like tying together those series and in like a big
yeah, the
crossover event.
Mando verse film, isn't
Yeah,
it?
which is cool. Like I like Filoni, and he got a lot of love over the weekend, which was really nice to see because I think he's kind of the one that's carried Star Wars for quite a while, um, and I think he obviously knows his stuff. But yeah, that sounded cool, and give me it anytime. I'll take more Mando.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, the last one was with Ray, and the director I've forgotten her name, but she's directed like documentaries about like freedom fighters, and she sort of came on and said how she's used to directing like stories about real freedom fighters, and this is kind of like there's a parallel here about the Jedi and who they are and that kind of stuff. And I'm curious about the plot of that. Like set 15 years after Rise of Skywalker, she's the Jedi Master sort of in place, and it's about rebuilding the Jedi Order and who the Jedi are in this period of time when the Empire's gone, the Sith's kind of done, and how do you
Yeah, because
kind
it
of
has to be it. Well, I think that's their window, isn't it? If they're going to try and emerge a new threat,
mm.
then it's in that film, isn't it? They have
Yeah,
to
I was
try
just
and lay the foundation.
yeah, I was literally just talking to Charles, my partner, about this like 10 minutes before we got on because we were saying how we were really curious about it. And in the expanded universe, like the books and stuff that they did before Disney got it, they basically introduced this threat from another galaxy who were like couldn't because they were from another galaxy, they couldn't be harmed by the Force. Um, and I was like, that's kind of interesting. Like, I wonder if they'd, because I feel like they've got to steer away from um, like Sith or the Empire or the Emperor or whatever, because they've done that. And I wonder if you give this something new, like something that could go either way, like either it really piss people off or people be like, fair enough, that's a new idea.
Yeah, I mean, there always has to be some rumblings of the Empire, doesn't there? I think
Yeah.
that they kind of said that in that Mandalorian episode yesterday around the thing, around there in
Mm.
the, when Moff Gideon was talking, it's like there's always going to be rumblings if they go in strong, then the people will follow them if they're willing to join the Empire. So, but it's nice if there's something else like another things from another galaxy when they're not affected by the Force to add another layer to it with the Empire still really, really beneath the surface. Like there's something that can like start something up against the Jedi Order, and then they can latch onto it. So
Yeah.
it's nice. It kind of be nice that there's a film where it kind of brings in how the Force was first found, and then
Yes. I mean,
2 films later, they're like, the Force is fucked because we can't do anything with it at the moment.
yeah.
Like they have to find a new Force.
Yeah. Like that was the really interesting thing as well, is that Kathleen Kennedy said that George Lucas always saw Star Wars as this mythological timeline where you sort of tell stories out of sequence. So you sort of jump
Mm-hmm.
forward, jump back, go to the present, jump forward. And that was what this timeline was all about. Like they brought up this timeline on the screen, which I'm sure everybody's seen at this point, but it sort of goes through all the different eras of Star Wars. And you sort of realize that there is such a wealth of content and time period that there really can be a Star Wars for like everyone. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because you've got all these different times. And that was the thing about these three films that they announced I thought was really interesting, was that they're three films that are tonally very, very different, and all at very different periods of time. So that got me quite excited. And also I really like Daisy Ridley.
I really like it too.
I was really glad she was back. I was like, yes. But yeah, so that was cool. That was that was pretty much it at the end of that. And then Mangold stayed on stage. And we saw a trailer for Indy, which is out as well. People have seen, which I hadn't seen the first trailer for Indy. So that was the first time I saw a trailer, and I thought it looks all right. Like I'm cautiously optimistic, mainly because Mangold and Mickelson, like the two of them.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
not the biggest Indiana Jones fan really, but
okay,
I
I
I
yeah
I can appreciate that looks good,
yeah
but yeah, I'm not. I've never yeah, I've never really been into them.
grabbed it. Yeah, I really like the kind of like main trilogy. The fourth one was awful,
Yes.
but I'm kind of in this for Mangold and Mads Mikkelsen. So we saw the trailer for that, and then they showed us like an exclusive, like 11-minute clip or something, which was basically just an action piece, which was
You got a
cool.
pretty good day then, didn't you? Well, it's not like not too shabby.
Yeah, we saw like the kind of big panel. It was like the big one, and then yeah. So after that was done, we sort of walked around, did all the booths and stuff, which was cool to see. Just tons of props and tons of people dressed in cosplay, which, funny enough, the biggest cosplay was the prison attire from Andor.
All right,
I think
really.
that was the one that I saw the most.
It's probably pretty easy to do though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I thought. And like towards the end of the day, they did like a run the length of the concourse and were yelling one way out and just legged it down the thing. And I was like, that's quite cool.
That's pretty
Um,
cool.
but there was a lot of them. So it went on for a while. Uh, so that was cool. And then we nipped over to, they do like a live stage, which they stream onto YouTube, and it's just like a rotate of guests. It's like just people come on. And we saw three people from Andor. So we saw the Imperial wannabe guy, got his name, Denise Goff, who is the Imperial lady, and Andor's love interest. Again, forgotten the
Oh
names,
yeah,
some awful names. So those three were there, and they were sort of talking about Andor and making it and season 2 and stuff. And they were awesome. They were really cool, like just really excited about it. And Denise Goff, who plays the Imperial, like, I've forgotten all these names. I'm terrible, but she was like, I never really knew Star Wars before all this, and now I'm obsessed. And she was like, I just can't get enough. I was like, nice, that's cool.
it's cool,
That's
isn't it? It's cool. Like there are people that are like don't know much. I haven't seen the. I mean, I can't wait to show my kids Star Wars.
yeah,
Like, I can't wait for them to see it. Or like, you know, I even know people my age who haven't seen it. Like, it's pretty cool. Must be cool as an adult to like find it and love it as well.
yeah, and like be a part of it and stuff as well, to like be a character that's so kind of like memorable. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that was really cool. And then the next ones were Carl Weathers, which is weird to think I
Mm.
was in the same room as Carl Weathers. Um, Emily Swallows, who plays the armorer from Mando, and Giancarlo Esposito was also there, which was
Oh,
also
nice.
weird that I was in the same room as him. Um, and they were cool. Like Giancarlo has like so much energy, um, and he's just so excited, and that was really cool just to kind of like hear them talk about their experiences, and they were all very kind of gracious and humble and all very excited.
Must be weird for her because she hasn't taken the mask off yet. Like
Yeah,
or
yeah,
helmet rather.
yeah. Um, so yeah, so that was cool. We saw all of them, and there was just yeah, it was really exciting, and
That sounds awesome.
yeah, the live stage was very cool. And then
Is it
yeah,
normally in America?
they move it around. So I think last year it was in Anaheim, year before, or can't remember. I don't know if they did it during COVID. I know 2019 was Chicago because a friend went to it. It's in Japan next. It's in Tokyo.
Wow.
Um, and I think they did London in 2016 because I think the last time they were in London was for Rogue One.
Hmm.
Um, so I definitely go to again. Like it was so cool just to have a day of it. I did really crash like after the celebration stage. I old man that I am. There was like an hour and a half or an hour and 45 where it's like I just need like a nap. Like I need a nap room. I'm so tired. And I think part of it is like the excitement and the energy, and
Yeah,
then the
it's
amount.
like
Yeah, I'm sure you kind of had it in thought bubble as well, right? It's like it's
oh yeah,
just
no, I
so
definitely did.
much.
I mean, I really peaked really early at Thought Bubble because I was in before it opened.
Okay.
I sort of saw people like Randy and Sice Bear and
Mhm.
Jock and stuff. Saw them all kind of walking around, and I got to talk to them all quite early. And then then there were like different waves of like getting signings and a few panels. And I was sitting front row, so I was really close to some of my like I guess my comic heroes. And then like 3 o'clock, I was like, okay, I could easily get back to the hotel now, cry some happy tears, and then go back. But I actually the second day I was pretty tired then actually because I'd done so much in the first day. So but that's cool. I mean, Jeff Lemire's going to that this year. That's
I
pretty exciting.
saw. Yes, I'm hoping that.
So I think
Oh, you go.
because you're obviously hoping to come, aren't you? So
I'm
that'll
hoping
be
to go.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping we hear on that in the next couple of weeks, and then I'm 50-50 on if I should just get a ticket anyway. But I'm hoping that Charles Soul goes
Yeah, I
because
think there'll be a few big names because it did so well last year. But I think there'll be a lot of names that were there this last year, like Randy and Scott Snyder and stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised to see like Chip Zdarsky there and see Jeff Lemire's going, and I think they'll try and get like Charles Soule and stuff will be there as well. I would hope so anyway, which means the panels will be even better. So
yeah,
I'm really excited if yeah, especially if you get to go as well. Which I mean that can lead us in nicely to our next thing if you want. So we recently announced that we are Nick and I and our friend Harry, who's been on previous podcasts before, along with some other wonderful people that have been part of these comics that Black Spot Comics have released. We're doing a Kickstarter.
yes,
It's called Lone Tales. It features a comic written by myself and Nick called Odyssey, which is we originally released part one, and now we're releasing part one and part two together in this graphic novel, along with another comic called Whistleblower. And yeah, we announced it on our social media and our own channels, and we're very excited. We're hoping it does well. We're hoping it gets funded, which I think is okay
yes,
to say. We want it to be
yes.
funded.
We want to
Fund
see
it.
it
If you listen
happen.
to this, go and have a look.
Yes,
So
yeah, I'll check the pre-launch link in the description of this podcast. So yeah, if what we say sounds like your thing, then please do go follow it. And we've got some crazy early bird offers, which I can talk about. Two of them at least. We haven't told anybody else the others yet, but we're going to do the book, which is 124 pages. It's 2 stories with some back matter at £5. £5 for 124
£5.
pages. Or if you like your books physical, we'll do it for £10.
Wow.
Come on.
Bargain.
Yeah. Nailed.
So we're excited. It means a lot to. I mean, Nick has released lots of stuff as well, but it's a very important comic for him as well. It's very important to me. I would love to see it out there physically as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if those are listening have read Odyssey, then it's kind of like a sci-fi apocalyptic horror comic.
Mm-hmm.
And although we wrote it quite a long time ago, it's still something that we want to see out there. So yeah, I hope it does right. I think it's quite hard, as we all know, social media these days. So anyone who's listening to this that is interested, please spread the word.
Yes.
Any of our social media tweets that you see, or Instagram, or through this, tell your friends if they like comics. And yeah, fingers crossed. So it's called Lone Tales.
Yep.
And the Kickstarter launches the end of May?
11th of May.
The beginning of May. I was close. I'm on it. Mid-May.
Yes.
So yeah. So I know.
Yeah.
And how long is it running for, the Kickstarter?
30 days. So it'll finish on the 10th of June. Is that right?
Late June. Yeah. So 1 month. So yeah. Keep an eye out for it. If you like mine and Nick's voices, then you might enjoy our writing even more.
Yes. Yeah. So, especially if you're a fan of anything sci-fi horror, yeah, it could be your thing. The other story as well, we should say, Whistleblower, which is written by one of my best friends, is if you're not a fan of sci-fi horror, you can hopefully be a fan of sci-fi thriller, which is what that book is.
That's what we're offering you. A bunch of different sci-fi.
You get a double. You get a double hit of thriller and horror.
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
Yeah. Good. It's been a good plug where I've only made 2 mistakes with my error in dates and saying sci-fi instead of sci-fi.
I'm going to use it.
Perhaps I shouldn't have written a comic. Who knows what's in there?
It's fine. It's fine. Cool. I've checked it.
So check it out if you can, and we will move on because we don't want to bore you to death with our plugs of our own material.
Yes.
What else has happened in the world, Nick? We well, there was a bit of a news yesterday. So this today's date is the 13th of
14th.
Is it? No way. anyone listening would think I've had another concussion.
Uh,
Is it the 14th?
it is
No,
the
it's not.
It is. I'm looking at
Is
the
it?
date right. Yeah.
Jesus. Is this because I'm in Norway and you're in England and the hour time difference is actually
Changes the
24
date.
hours?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Okay, so it's the 14th, and yesterday, which was the 13th,
Yes.
probably, Rocksteady Studios announced that they are delaying Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. Now, if you listen to our last podcast, or a podcast or two ago, Jesus Christ, a while ago, neither of us were that happy about the way it looked. We were very
Yeah.
disappointed on the progress,
Mm-hmm.
the loot system. It kind of looked like Fortnite. We both missed the Arkhamness of the Arkham games,
Yeah.
but they've delayed it quite significantly because it's actually supposed to come out in May,
Mm.
and now it's coming out the 2nd of February 2024,
Yeah.
which, because it's February, it kind of sounds like, oh, it's just the beginning of 2024, but that's a long way away.
Yeah,
You
it's a
know,
whole like 8
I'm having
months.
another baby in between that time, and that baby will be 5 months old, 6 months old. Jesus, I just don't know how I actually got through high school, guys. That's where I'm at the moment. So
We
it's
went
a
to
long,
Stratford
long
High.
time
That's
away.
why.
Yeah. So I think they probably listened to all the negative feedback because there was a lot of negative feedback, and they're either going to fix the fact that you could only play it online, or they're going to, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, it's very late in the game for them to change too much of the mechanics. I can't see them getting rid of the loot system because I imagine that's very well incorporated. So it kind of has to be that they're going to take it so it could be played offline because that was one of the biggest issues. But I'm still very worried about this game.
Yeah, I just don't know what they do with it because they've said they're not changing it substantially, which means whatever it is, it's going to be there won't be anything story or core game mechanics. As you said, it could be that they would just figure out how to do like get rid of the always online element of it. I don't actually know how much that would impact gameplay.
I mean, for all we know, there's only that one level that we've seen with the Flash because nothing else really seems to happen. We've seen some footage of Batman, but
True.
we've not seen any significant gameplay other than King Shark jumping around buildings and triple jumps and everything like that. So yeah, I don't know what they're going to do, but it's a pretty big jump, which could lead to maybe another one. But I just feel like if they're not confident in it now, after it being so long in development, because it has been a long time
Yeah, they announced it like
since they released
2020,
Arkham Knight. Yeah, so it's already been delayed once. Now it's delayed again, and in between this, there's going to be Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
So now their standards are going to have to try and be better than that. And I don't know. I don't think Wolverine will be out by then because they haven't even said much. Because I think that's 2024 as well. They're hoping.
Yep.
But yeah, so I don't know. I just it's a shame. It's a shame that it doesn't look as good, and I'm grateful that they're going to delay it because I think it would have bombed. I think it's already got so much negativity.
Yeah, I don't know how the game comes out and it's an absolute hit because it looks so much like Avengers, which the story of was fine and it looked fine, but it was a lot of the same. Like the gameplay was.
Yeah. Avengers had its moments, like it had its good bits, like but at least it was kind of realistic. As in the heroes did what they did because they could do it. Like Thor can fly with his hammer, Iron Man can fly, but you didn't have
that's true.
Like Hulk wasn't flying around and Captain America couldn't fly. But this thing you've got King Shark,
Yes,
who can fly because he's got some, I don't know, he's got something. Captain Boomerang can also teleport, and he's kind of like Gotham Knights, right? Which at least Gotham Knights still looked like an Arkham game, like the way they moved and things. There were some annoying things like again Robin teleporting and all that stuff, but I haven't played it yet, so I can't be a terrible judge of it. But I will play it. I think Gotham. I think you put both in front of me right now, I'll be like, I'm going to play Gotham Knights, even though it got bad reviews, but I'm going to give that a bash.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, it's it's good. I was thinking about why if it would get delayed because they haven't announced like any special editions or anything like usually around this time you would have like the Ultimate Edition, the Statue Edition,
Yeah, or it would
you
have gone
know,
gold or something. Like it would
or it
have.
would have gone gold. So
Yeah.
yeah, bit weird for a team that has been so on it with the Arkham games. I
Mm.
don't know why. I know we said it time and time again. I just don't know why they didn't stick to what they know. Like, why on earth they couldn't just release the same game they're doing, but just have, I don't know, just have. If Batman's even going to be in it, then why not just have it as Batman? Like,
Mm.
I don't know. Just many things. It could have just been Harley Quinn. It could have been a Harley Quinn game.
Yeah, I get the.
It
I
could have
get
been
the.
all four of them, but you just transfer between them. It doesn't have to be a looty, jumpy, flashy game.
Yeah,
So
I think part of it is a monetary thing that, from what I understand, unless you're like with a big publisher, like unless you're with owned by Microsoft or owned by Sony, particularly in this case owned by Sony, um, developing a single player game that doesn't have a live service element or whatever is financially like not irresponsible, but you're sort of fighting an uphill battle. In that, I think if you're a studio who are looking to make money at the moment, the money is in your live service
absolutely.
games. It's in that kind of thing. And so, I mean, in an ideal world, you would have had two developed along side by side, and you'd have a story and you'd have an online, and the two would be two separate things, and then they'd give you the whole package. But again, cost, development money, all that kind of stuff is probably factored into it. And I think the gaming market is also like very, very different to what it was when Arkham Knight came out. Like I feel like there are less and less core like AAA single players.
Yeah,
Like it's
agreed.
becoming basically a Sony thing at the moment because Microsoft is very much service in that all of their games are sort of facilitated to either be 300-hour RPGs or multiplayer games, and both of them serve the function of providing Game Pass subscriptions because it's keep paying your Game Pass subscription and you can keep playing this 300-hour game, or you can keep playing online with your friends, whatever. And then other studios, have got money just raking in from live service and multiplayer and all that kind of stuff. I think that at the moment that's almost where the money is in the industry, which is a shame. And you've obviously got a lot of great indies, like they're obviously all over the place. But in terms of that like big AAA, which is something that like Arkham Knight was, I don't know if it's a harder sell.
I just think with the success of the Arkham games, I think there was probably enough of an audience that it could have worked. But you're right.
Yeah.
Obviously, they probably want more money coming in. But I mean, what money does a company like Rockstar have coming in when they haven't made a game for what 6 years, maybe
But
more?
is that the reason why then? Is that it's the
Maybe, yeah. Maybe
development
it is.
took too, because over the years there've been loads of rumors of what they've been working on, right? There was like a rumor that it was a Superman game, there was
Superman, yeah.
like all this stuff.
So
So
they
we don't know whether they threw money into developing that, it didn't pan out, and then it was, well, we need to develop something that's going to pull the cash in, and
yeah,
that
maybe.
could be
I just
this.
wonder if they had the ideas as well, and then they're like, no, this is going to work, and then they changed gears a few times, and they changed ideas, and then I mean, for all how long it's taken, they could have released another Batman game in between. They could have released a Superman game. You know,
Yeah,
they've Flash as well. I mean, they've obviously got Flash in this game, but I don't know. I just think somewhere along the lines it's got a bit lost, and
yeah,
yeah, it's just a shame because they're a good company. So if it gets
yeah, great.
if this drowns, then you don't. It's hard to know what's next for them because yeah, I have to see.
Yeah,
Anyway, so bit of
yeah,
a bummer, but
yeah,
we'll see what happens. I think.
definitely.
All right. So we've both seen a few films
We have.
recently. You've seen John Wick 4
Yes,
and Dungeons and Dragons.
yes,
I have seen the Super Mario Brothers film. So shall we play a quick game of tennis and you go first?
sure,
Then I'll tell you about Mario and then you tell me about the other one. So should we do
sure.
some small thoughts on both? No, well,
I'm not gonna
yeah, I
spoil.
guess,
I'm
yeah.
just gonna
It's not, I don't
give
think
you
I
an
can
idea.
really spoil Mario, but
True.
yeah,
I'm also not going to see Mario. It's not my thing. So you can spoil it.
You're not going to go see Mario.
It's not my thing.
What if my review of it's really good?
Still probably won't see it. It's just
What if
not.
I sang the What if I sang the Bowser song?
I don't know the Bowser song.
You don't know Peaches?
Hmm.
Oh, mate, living under a rock. Too much Star Wars, not enough Bowser.
Way too much Star Wars. Yeah, yeah. I'll start with John Wick because I think I talked about this in another episode of the podcast where I said that that trailer for the fourth film is one of the best trailers I've ever seen. Um, it's so good. The film is really good. It's long, and I'll be curious to know when you watch it. Without spoiling this, there is one character in it who serves no purpose other than
Is it Keanu Reeves?
yeah, no. There's just one character in it who it's like they've just introduced an element to the world to say these kind of people exist. Like this kind of job role exists, but ultimately the arc of the character is pointless. And the thing it does is it probably tacks on about 30 to 40 minutes of the film, which you're like, you could cut
Cut that.
all of that. And like the film is good, like it is really good. It would be so much better if you didn't have that storyline going. Not anything against like the performances or anything like that. It is just purely the story around that character just is why
Isn't
is it
needed.
there? Yeah. Um, but yeah, it's shot really well. The action scenes are great. There is one in particular, which I think you'll know when you see it, because it is a real standout. And it's like, oh my God, this is super impressive in terms of just camera work and like choreography and everything. It's amazing. Um, and yeah, I loved it. I was, yeah, in my element for
Nice.
almost 3
We are
hours.
gonna. We were supposed. Is it almost 3 hours?
Mm. That's what I mean is you
Fucking
could
hell.
cut 30 to 40 minutes. And I'm curious to know if when you watch it, whether you can pick up who I think it is.
That's a lot of wiki to have.
Mm.
I wonder. So we were supposed to go and see it, but it didn't pan out when we were going to go. But I feel like relatively soon it's going to be something you can buy on iTunes to rent. So
Probably.
I don't get to go to the cinema that much. I have to plan around my children.
Mhm.
So we might have missed that ship might have sailed. Although I'd like to see it on the big screen. Which, by the way, just speaking of the big screen, not to go into too much, talking about Star Wars and like the three films that are coming out that aren't a trilogy, but they are a kind of trilogy of films. You have to have some Star Wars on the big screen, right? You can't have
Yes,
all these TV
100%.
shows, and
Yeah.
you can't have Star Wars in a cinema is one of the greatest experiences in the world. Like they're doing Return of
Yes.
the Jedi is out here,
Yes.
it's at the
It's like 28th or something they re-release, right?
28th. Yeah, so we're all going to go and see it. Like
Yes.
me and the
I'm so
guys,
excited for that.
my
Yeah.
guys, and just like that and Lord of the Rings in the cinema and like there are
Mm.
just some films, some things you have to see in the cinema, right? Like
Yes.
when I've seen some classics in the cinema that I was too little for. I've seen Jaws in recent months in the cinema. I saw Ghostbusters because I don't think I saw that when I was little. I don't even know if I was born. I can't remember. I don't know. Things like that. Like I went to see Jurassic Park at the cinema again recently. It's just epic. But Star Wars, just from the beginning when the credits come on in a cinema, it's just amazing, right? So
Yeah, they actually
anyway,
said they're bringing back the opening crawl as well, like the text for the
yeah,
films for these three films. They'll all have text.
opening text.
So they
So they're
said
doing
it's
the TV shows, do they?
no, but they said they're doing it to differentiate the film and the TV series, is so that you know
It's
that
cool.
they are two different things. I was like, that's cool. I'm
I
so
mean,
down.
might not have credits, but there is one of the coolest things about like the Mandalorian is the music at the beginning and end because there is no way you don't bob your head to it when it happens. Me and my wife Yannicka, it's like dun, 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 like, every time, even if it's not been a very good episode, you're in, you're locked in.
The
Um,
when you finish this week's episode, the last 10 minutes has really good music as well.
nice.
Like I noticed it even
Hyped.
more being in that theater with like everyone because it was so loud. Like that was the cool thing actually seeing Mando on like basically a movie screen. Is it was like here's a Mando episode basically in the cinema. It was like oh so
Nice. I also went to the cinema
good.
recently.
Yes,
I went to see the Super Mario Brothers film with my 6-year-old daughter Leonora and some friends from
nice,
work.
Nice.
And I'm going to convince Nick right now that it's a good film that he should see. You know how much you like John Wick 4?
Yes.
It's like John Wick 4, right? If it was done by the guys who did Minions and it didn't have Keanu Reeves in it and it was animated and it wasn't linked to anything in John Wick.
Wait, so there's in Mario, there's like a table and like a high table and assassins and
Essentially, yes and no
okay.
at the same time. You'll have to see it to find out what I'm talking about, but it's linked for sure. It's really good. It's really good fun. It's my daughter, she's played Mario with me on the computer. She's only 6, but she loves it and she laughed her head off it. A lot of the adults were laughing as well. It's full of nostalgia. It's not like crazily overplayed because they're probably going to build this Nintendo universe. Like there's talks of like Zelda and Star Fox, and there's definitely going to be a sequel to Mario. The voice actors are very good. Like Chris Pratt really just sounds like Chris Pratt. There is a little bit of a twang in there, but they play on it with like they do like Italian voices at the beginning. They do like a Super Mario Brothers plumbing advert.
Nice.
And their family's Italian, and then Jack Black's very good as Bowser. There are all these little nods like the Goombas and Shy Guys and everything. It's just bright and it's funny when it's supposed to be funny, and it's just like kind of heartwarmingly nice. Like it's sort of have you seen Ted Lasso, the TV show?
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
So what's nice about Ted Lasso, especially the first 2 seasons, not so much in this newest season, but there wasn't really any bad vibes during the whole thing. Like
No.
Rebecca in season 1 is a bit mean at the beginning, but
Yeah.
you think she's going to be a bitch the whole way through, but quite quickly she turns into a really nice person towards Ted. And those first 2 seasons, it's just, Nathan is season 2 is a bit of a dick, but it's just you kind of come out with this like, man, that was nice. I know it was quite warm and fuzzy, and you feel the same with Mario. You come out and you just kind of like, wow, Mario, because Bowser's Bowser, right? But he's actually pretty funny in this because he just wants to marry Peach. So much so that he writes a wonderful song called Peaches, and Jack Black is Jack Black. So it's like Tenacious D, Bowser singing.
Nice.
So it's good. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing it again with my wife, and Leonora is desperate to see it again. So yeah, I loved it. I mean, I quite like the first Minions film. I have a bit of a soft spot for it. The other ones were just okay, but it's really well done. Easily, I think with any other company, it could have been a shit show, but they
Was
hit
it
all the right
Illumination?
beats with it. Yeah, it's
Was that,
Illumination. Yeah,
because I quite enjoyed Harry and I went to see the Grinch that they did.
yeah, it's good as well.
Yeah,
It's
that
a
was
good
good.
film. Yeah,
The
because
Tyler the
Leonora,
Creator
I
ones.
really liked it as well. I just think they got the right balance of like they know when it's kind of like it's not obviously it's hard to say a film serious when it's Super Mario and like minions running around and Grinch, but they do very clever so it's for adults and children. It's a bit like Pixar, right? Pixar have those moments. Like more people love the Toy Story, like Toy Story 3 when they're going towards the fire, like that hit adults harder than it hit children. Like it was like
yeah.
fuck me. Like if these toys get put in that fire, then I'm done.
Yeah,
It's really good.
I have a short story about that Toy Story thing. So I can't remember if I've told this story before. But I watched that at home because I missed it at cinema, and I watched it at home about an hour and a half before I was meant to start work. I was working at Game at the time, and I watched Toy Story 3 in the morning and thought, oh, I'll just watch Toy Story and then go into work and I'll be jolly. I'll be fine. Watched it and got to that bit and I was booing it. Like I was just crying and I was like, oh my God.
I saw it in the cinema. It was terrible.
Yeah, I would have been a bit, but did that. And then I had to walk to work, which was about an hour from where I lived. And I'm convinced on this walk, I must have just been like sobbing. I must have looked to other people as if somebody had just broken up with me or something, or somebody's died. Like it was like walk, cry. I was like, oh dear.
Because you've been Toy Story 3'd.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's the same with Up though, right? Like Up is like when I went to see Up at the cinema, they had this like partly cloudy short, which was really fucking funny when I first saw it. And then you're 10 minutes into Up, and it's just the saddest thing.
Yeah,
so it's obviously not really meant for children. Like children are just kind of along for the ride. Like, oh, Doug, he can talk, he's hilarious. But halfway through, you're still like, that's really sad that his wife died.
Yeah.
So it's just, but Mario is very good at it's good for adults and children. So they're very good at finding that balance. There's some things in there that like will make the adults laugh. There's a lot of stuff that makes the kids laugh. It's good. I really enjoyed it.
Good, good. Yeah, D&D, which I wasn't sure about. Like the trailers didn't grab me. I thought
Me
that
neither, but I've heard
could,
very good things.
yeah, I was like, it could be good, but I don't know. I like the cast. Like, I'm always a fan of Chris Pine. Hey, there you go. For everybody
Hey,
who's
good
on the
luck.
audio, you've got to switch on to the video for this bit. But yeah, it's great. Like it's just a really good fantasy film.
I've heard great things because D&D have been a bit in the shit recently. I work in a
Right.
comic shop. We sell a lot of D&D stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a bit of 50-50 of how like it's kind of gone because they've done quite a bit of shoddy stuff in terms of like products and releases and being
Okay.
good to their catering to their audiences.
Right.
And that hit just as this film was being promoted.
Oh dear.
But it's done well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is just like a really good fantasy film. And I said to Charles after we saw it that a lot of it feels practical. Like there is obviously CG in it, but it's good CG. But in the same way that like Lord of the Rings used practical locations, there's a lot of like landscapes and set work, and it's the kind of thing where maybe other directors would have just done full CGI environments or used a volume or something like that. This just feels like they've actually built the world from the ground up. And it doesn't take its time in sort of just letting you know that you're in D&D. It's like, here's walking, talking creatures, here's this, but it's got an emotive, like, human beat to it. There's really good comedy in it. Like, it's really well written. And yeah, it was you sort of finish it and you're like, oh, I could easily watch another one. Like I could just
Well, they've already said a sequel, haven't they? I think it's already
yeah, I think they're talking about
in the
sequel and
works.
there's a TV series which is in the same like environment
Universe.
world, whatever. Yeah.
There's a guy that I work with called Sheldon. He's a really nice guy, and he's a massive D&D player, and he's played it for years. But he went and saw the film, and he just said they hit it spot on with like going through like all the years of D&D. Like they go way back, and they throw in like bits. So like there's a bit of something for everyone that's played throughout these years. And he was pretty negative about it. He was like, I bet it's going to be crap, but I read it's like one of the out of those sort of films, like your comic kind of films like D&D and all that stuff. It's like the best audience. I know we both Rotten Tomatoes is what it is, but in terms of audience and critics, like finding common ground, it's both in the high 90s, isn't it? But
yeah,
I think for both of them,
yeah, it's like yeah, it's just good fun. Like it's and you never like I don't know anything about D&D. I've always been curious about it, but I've never played it, and I didn't feel like I ever didn't understand anything. Like I didn't feel like there was anything that was over my head. It was kind of always like,
yeah.
oh, I completely get. Like I know what that is. I know what that is. Like, it makes sense, and yeah, I just thought it was really good. It was just cool.
I know another one of my colleagues. She had never played D&D, and she said she felt the same as you. Like she was able to follow along, and she didn't know anything about it really, but she got the gist of it. So
Yeah, it was cool.
awesome! I am excited to see both John Wick 4 and Dungeons and Dragons, and in return, you are excited to see the Super Mario Brothers film.
I will watch it when it comes onto a streamer. How about that?
You have to. You got nephews, and you?
Yeah, but they're older.
Yeah, but they'll still
One
want
of
to see
them's
Mario.
like one of them's like World War II. The other is Star Wars.
They'll want to see it. Don't
Maybe.
tell them
I
not to
think
be
they.
lame.
I actually think both of them wanted to see D&D. Last time I spoke to them, I think they were so they were both curious about it. But
I bet Alex wants to watch Super Mario Brothers. I bet he's there. Like,
that's true, actually. Yeah.
see, knew it.
Yeah, he might do. We'll find out.
Take
He'll,
Alex.
he'll probably listen to this and then go, "I do," and then he'll text me.
Yeah, I do. I do want to watch Super Mario, but Alex has got taste.
I did see. I don't know if it was somebody joking or not because it's on Instagram and I didn't read too much into it. But apparently, because the animation's done so well, apparently the film has started like going up the ranks in like digital
Yeah,
orders
they
or
have. Yeah,
something.
that's true. I mean, that's a terrible film, though,
It's
isn't it?
so bad. I was like, don't give that credit. It's
I
so
watched like an IGN video on like the history of Mario on the screen, and it was just like they just talked about how bad that was, and like they were like most of them were drunk on the set and everything. It's just
not a good film.
God, it's the worst thing.
Yeah. Oh,
All
speaking
right.
of stuff, by the way, just before we end this, because we didn't get to talk about it, what did you think of the previous episode of Mando? Because it's been a bit, people have been a bit hit and miss about it.
What was the? I mean,
The Jack
I
Black
couldn't remember
episode.
today was. Yeah, I don't mind. I think this season, like with some of them, it's been a bit slow to get going. It's almost I feel the same with some of the Marvel shows, right? That takes a while to get going, and then it gets really good the last sort of 3 episodes.
Yep.
I actually thought it was pretty good. It was kind of like a detective episode, wasn't it? It was like
Yeah.
like they were, when they were looking at the body on the floor, and I said that to Yannick at the time. I was like, it feels like these two are like detectives, and they go through like this city trying to track down a criminal, and they did it, and it's like, it's I thought it was really nice. I know because a lot of people didn't like Jack Black and what's her name,
Lizzo.
Lizzo. I don't know which one it is.
I don't know.
I don't know any of them. I'm not down with the kids. I
Me
don't know
either.
who they are. Like, it takes me a long time to understand who any of them are. Like, oh, this is Ariana Grande. I'm like, yes, that's the one in the TV show with Steve Martin. They're like, no,
Yeah.
that's Vanessa Hudgens. I'm like, who? I don't know who they are. Selena Gomez. I see.
That is
Wait.
a great show, by the way. If you ever watch Only
this
Murders.
person, Miley Cyrus. She's something. She was Hannah something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. It's all these musicians, but yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I thought Jack Black was good as well because he got a bit of criticism, but
it was good.
it's good. Yeah, I really like the Mandalorian. I look forward to it when it's coming back on. I just enjoy all the Star Wars stuff. Like I said earlier, there's nothing that I've not been like. I've been like, oh, just some of the pacing sometimes is a bit slow, and Book of Boba Fett especially.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, let's get to where we got to get to, Boba.
Yeah.
But then when you get like down to it and you see, there's always like the villains are always good as well, aren't they? No,
I'm super excited about Thrawn. I think Thrawn's going to be cool.
It's just awesome, isn't it? I mean, he's in so many books and things like that, and obviously Clone Wars and everything. So I'm very excited.
Cool.
Right, I think that's everything for this episode.
Yeah,
agreed.
Oh, wait,
so
one thing, which
no.
is real quick. So I hadn't seen a trailer for Across the Spider-Verse, and then I saw it last night when I was at the cinema.
Oh, it looks good, doesn't it?
Looks cool, yeah. The first part of the trailer, I was like, I don't know, because it was like very heavy about the multiverse, and I was kind of like, it doesn't have the heart yet. And then the second half of the trailer was like, here's the heart, and I was like, oh yeah,
Spider-Man 2099 is going to kill everyone.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
beastie. It's going to be awesome. I'm very hyped about it. There's loads of stuff I like with that. The new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle film I really like the look of.
Yeah, cool.
So good stuff. Scott Pilgrim's getting an anime with all the same cast.
Oh my god, yes.
Dope. So much, Nick. We could just talk and talk, couldn't we?
Yeah. And Maisel's back today.
And Nasal's back. Yes. I mean, that is probably going to watch at least 1 or 2 things. So our next, we have our in-depths coming up either side of this, and then we'll do a pop culture episode. By then we would have at least seen 4 episodes.
Maybe 6. I think it might be 3 a week.
Oh, well, then we're laughing. It'll be 6. Yeah. So expect a whole episode on Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Pretty much.
You're interested.
Yeah.
All right. So that's this episode. If you're interested in hearing some of our older episodes, you can find us wherever you get podcasts. To search for Consistently Okay Podcast. You can see our faces if you want to on video, live. No, not live. Just in there on the video screen on YouTube. You search for Consistently Pod. Find us on Twitter at Consistently Pod. We send the odd tweet every now and again. And you can find us on Instagram at Consistently Pod.
Yep.
And if you like this episode, leave a review, tell your friends, share it around. And I think that's it, really.
Yes.
All right, marvelous. Well, Nick, enjoy your weekend.
I will. I'm gonna watch Maisel.
You're gonna watch Maisel. It's gonna be brilliant. And all right, we'll see you all for the next episode, which is our in-depth episode on Dogma.
Yeah.
Dogma, yeah. Because we're doing the Kevin Smith films. For anyone who's not listened, if you want to listen to the first ones for Clerks, Mallrats, and Chasing Amy, they are all available now.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Take care, all. Bye-bye.
May the Force be with you.
May the 4th?
Oh, it's coming.
That's a thing. It's coming soon. Yes. Excellent. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.